Hello everyone, how you all doing? I think one of the things I want to do more this year is to record a couple of more solo podcasts. So more like it's not always all the time I'll be bringing people to interview them on the podcast, but also talk about things you will find very very interesting. And I have just for you all. So there is this hackathon I participated in, and trust me, it is the first ever solo hackathon I'll be doing. I mean, for those who probably know me on Twitter or LinkedIn, you know I'm a smart contract developer, but this time around I did beyond smart contract development. Like I wrote the entire code base, and it was not only interesting. I think that's the part most people want to hear. It wasn't only interesting, but it was also quite challenging. Bearing in mind that I this is not my forte, front end is not my forte. Um, I did a smart contract guy. Then I'm like, okay, let's give this a shot because there is always a first time for everything. And the main reason I'm recording this is to basically tell you all the story. Before now, I have always wanted to build products and try to see how beyond just writing tutorials and how we can what we can do with Web3, trying to build products that show the tangibility of what we are doing. That we are not just playing here, and this is a very interesting industry. So over the past couple of years or even months, I've been trying to learn or particularly ship out products. But then I have a very technical content agency that is growing at a very impressive rate. So there is a whole lot of workload. Even when I think of starting to build products, I already have backlog of work to do, and even now I'm shooting this podcast amidst the fact that I have to deliver a couple of content today for my partners, and it's all part of the life, right? But I think one of the things I'm getting to be more intentional this year is to ch- check out on all my goals, right? Even though I think I probably don't have the time for them, it's all about intentionality and just doing these things more intentionally, and that's the reason I kind of put in for this hackathon. So let's rewind a bit. I got to know about the hackathon, the scroll hackathon, on around January. And by the way, the last time I had an hackathon was I think 2 or a year ago, where I hacked at ETH Online, and it was, trust me, very very amazing. I hacked with very amazing people, even though we had some behavioral differences. Maybe I'll give you the full gist on that later. But that's also part of the reasons I try to just do this solo, so I can, you know, not have to deal with people. Eventually, I will have to deal with people moving forward, but at least just one, I want to go S down, ship stuff, and talk less. You get that kind of vibe, and it was very interesting. And for those who probably know me on IG and TikTok, you know that I mostly talk about personal finance because I'm a finance nerd at heart. I love everything about making money and multiplying money, so it's very interesting to me. I create content on it on IG, on TikTok. Sometimes I post about it on LinkedIn too, but primarily on IG. So now the thing about some of this interest is that they are quite sparse. For example, I have interest in Web3 development, Web3 marketing, sales, now personal finance. And if you kind of look at it, it's all. And the real thing that I'm doing professionally is content marketing. The formal thing I learned in school was law. So it's quite very interesting. But then there is a way I was thinking of looping all these interests together to make something cohesive and solid. And that was why I thought of the products to build during the scroll hacker thing. I was like, oh, bro, let's just do this personal finance thing and give it a shot. And before, I was already thinking of building in personal finance. I tried to get into some accelerators. They asked me for MVP. I was like, oh no, I don't have an MVP yet. It's still in the head, stuff like that. But when I saw the hacker thing, I was like, bro, I think this is quite a good time to at least have the MVP ready. So even if there is anyone that want to backs or funds or stuff like that, I can show them something more like a prototype or a POC of what's all about. Then that's part of my motivation for the hackathon. Of course, prices are attached. I think for this one is 100K in total, and I mean that's some good fraction of money. You still get, I think for each tracks, I think it's 7K, 5K or so. So I mean that's still good. That's very very good. It's more like you are hacking. Usually as a developer, you hack on side projects, but come to think of it, you hack and get prizes for it. Then not only prizes, these people have this accelerator they also created. Scroll has this accelerator such that if you win the hackathon, you have high chances of getting into the accelerator program. And as someone who's been trying to build products, I mean it's a whole bunch of opportunities clubbed together, and I had to give it a shot. So once I already discovered I'm gonna build on personal finance for this hackathon, was now like, okay, what are the things to build? Ideally, I would have thought of bringing personal finance into lending or yield staking or some of these very hyper DeFi operations. But then, I think the best thing about building products and getting to talk to people about what they want is that people value simplicity a lot. Come to think of it, I have a couple of Web2 apps I use for my personal finance. Maybe I should just hold this. I have a couple of Web2 apps I use for my personal finance. And trust me, these things are very simple, at least on the outside. Prima facie, they are simple on the outside. And that was kind of the philosophy I started with. I didn't want to overclog the whole thing with too much smart contracts and inheritance and all those stuff. I was like, okay, let's just keep this simple. At least I know I'm the only one building the FE and the smart contract and integrating both of them, and also doing the slides, other things. So I was like, John is just better. I keep things simple and cheap. So the first thing I did was to brush up my Nextjs knowledge, bro. I'm not a front end developer, and that's very very obvious. But then, since I want to do this solo, then I had to step up my front end development game, and that was the reason I had to just watch a couple of tutorials on YouTube, try to build some. Even before starting the hackathon, I think this is the pre-hackathon gist I should tell you all about. So I had to go back to Next.js, start learning. Of course, React can be very very funny, like pure React. So I just preferred Next.js, and I tried working around with it. It was smooth, and yeah, I got to write CSS again. This is a side job. I actually don't know the reason people don't really like CSS as such, or many developers are not very comfortable with writing CSS. For me, I had fun writing CSS. The whole flex direction thing, it's very, very interesting. The fact that you can have the UI in the way you have in mind and just try to make the web understand what you're trying to say. It's always very very interesting. So I got to write a lot of CSS, and in fact I think I've grown quite fond of CSS due to this project I worked on. So yeah, that's the main thing. I worked on my Next.js skills again. I had to brush up a couple of things, and it was very very interesting. But then there was this loop I was getting into that I had to just snap myself out of it. I was getting too much into Next.js, too comfortable with Next.js, that I was already forgetting that, bro, I'm supposed to be hacking in an hackathon. I still have a competition to participate in. So that's just lock out of the whole tutorial thing and building stuff thing. Then starting my hackathon. So I set up my Next.js app. I built my landing page. Let me tell you, like my first landing page, I don't need anyone to tell me. My first landing page kind of it sucked. It sucked. Of course, like when you're building products, the first iterations are meant to suck, definitely. But I think this one kind of sucked more than I couldn't even share it as much because I was like, oh bro, I should have done better than this. This could have been nicer. It could have been way more beautiful. So I shouldn't have done something like this. Very very basic. But that's the beauty of doing things and the shame and shamelessness in building products. So I was like, yeah, let's do this. The first iteration of the front end, by the way, of course, I didn't start with smart contract because I already know smart contract I can have my way around very quickly. So I started with front end, and The first iteration, like I mentioned earlier, was not too good enough. But then I was like, let's just ship it. So I built up the main features I want to use. By the way, for those who don't know, CashVault is the project I was trying to build for this school like that thing. And it's more like bringing personal finance on chain. You can be able to save money and all that. So there was this features, three categories of features: saving, investments, monetary flow visualization. So I created a landing page to reflect these three core values of the product. And when I was done with that, you won't really believe it, but I have to iterate again and again and again. The beautiful thing is, like 2 days ago, before recording this podcast, I was still improving the landing page to make it look nicer. Even though I know that it could have been way lot better, but I think I kind of gave it my best and it was very, very interesting. And on that same note, I think one of the things that is very helpful when you are building things is to check out those who have built stuff that is similar to yours or that have pioneered the maybe industry or niche or genre you are trying to enter. For me, I tried out, I checked out the website of PGVest, Monzo, Carrywise, and a couple of other fintech and personal finance applications. I think just observing their interface, looking at how they structure things, gave me a good source of inspiration for how I can interface my UI to make it as appealing as I could make it and just to give it my best. So I checked out this website and they were very, very beautiful to learn and to take inspiration. When I was done, of course, I built the front end and it took me lots of days and but then we were done at the end of the day. Then I started working on the smart contract side of things. Usually, I would have thought of integrating Mofo Earn into the protocol, integrating Aave, integrating ULA, but I was like, John, this is an MVP. It's more like a POC. I don't need to overcomplicate things, like I mentioned earlier, and I'm the only one hacking, so it's just good to keep things simple. So I wrote a very short, maybe not so short, but I wrote a very simple smart contract to facilitate the saving automation, the investments, and the visualization. Now, talking of the visualization, it's reminded me of this thing that came up. There was, I think last year, yeah, last year, I refreshed my knowledge of Python for a couple of weeks that spanned into months. And if you check some of my previous YouTube channels, videos, you'll see how to code an ATM terminal, how to do this with Python. I mean, back then I was just doing it for fun and to be as versatile as possible as a smart contract developer. There was no more emotion attached to it. But the beautiful thing is when I was arcing this project, under the monetary visualization feature, I had to use Python. The full gist was that I wanted to use Node.js at the beginning, but I was getting lots of errors. And I was like, how come I'm getting these errors and this is not getting fixed? Then at the point I was like, okay, John, just use the normal Python you are more familiar with rather than using Node.js for this stuff. Then I started using Matplotlib and a couple of other libraries in Python that we use for visualization. And trust me, it all went very smoothly. I had my visualization, it was working perfectly. And I think this is the first time I'll be learning how to ship a Python application to production, how to use it for staging. It was a whole lot of very beautiful experience. And yeah, pretty much. Now let's talk about maybe the challenges I faced while building this product. Hmm. The most recent one was the smart contract verification side of things. So one of the rules for the hackathon is that you have to verify your contracts to be accepted, for your submission to be accepted. So, of course, I'm familiar with smart contract deployment and verification. even though I'd not really done it in actual practice, but I know how to do it. You know, some of those things you'll be like, this is how to do it, A plus B plus C is equal to. But then you haven't really done it yourself, but you can tell someone else how to do it because you just have a mental picture of how it is done. Then that was when the drama started. I wanted to verify my smart contract. I already deployed on Scroll Sepolia testnet, but the verification wasn't going through. I wanted to verify on Scroll Scan. It was telling me there was mismatch with the ABI and encoding. Then I was like, bro, I already deployed this thing on Scroll. It's available on chain. Why are you not catching it? Apparently, when I saw that Scroll Scan wasn't working, I pivoted to using Saucify. Saucify, the main Saucify website. When I tried using Saucify, it's giving me something similar to the error I saw on Scroll Scan. And then I was like, bro, which one is the way? As a Foundry guy at Arts, I was like, okay, let's make this simple. Let's go back to Foundry and verify. I wanted to redeploy and verify on Foundry. Then I discovered Foundry will require me to have an Etherscan API. And this is where the drama got more interesting. I went to the Etherscan website to get my API key. Then I discovered something very funny, that Etherscan is undergoing a fix. Obviously, that means I couldn't get my API key. Now, if I don't verify the smart contract, my submission for the hackathon, something I've worked on for 6 weeks, will not be accepted. And I mean, it was a very funny moment. Then I went back to my old love. Before I met Foundry, my whole love was Remix. And I was like, okay, let me deploy on Remix. Saucify is native to Remix. So if you deploy on Remix, it's a lot more easier to verify with Saucify on Remix. And that is there. So I went back to Remix. I redeployed. Initially, the deployment wasn't even going in Remix. I think that was why I pivoted to using Foundry for deployment. Apparently, the fact that I have ETH mainnet, I have base Sepolia, I have other networks activated on my MetaMask, it doesn't know which one to use. So at the point when I wanted to deploy, it was telling me that it would deploy on ETH mainnet. And I remember like, no, this is for Scroll Hackathon, not ETH mainnet. Then I had to reconfigure my MetaMask to make it recognize the fact that I want to use Scroll Sepolia for the instant case. Then after fixing the whole configuration thing back to verification, I tried to deploy it. It wasn't really deploying at first, then later deployed. Then when I wanted to verify, it wasn't verified. And that was the juncture. I was like, okay, what's going on? At the point I had to reach out in the Telegram group of the Scroll Open hackathon and be like, oh, okay, who among the hackers is willing to help? I'm having issue with the verification and yada 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 yada. But this is the trick I found on Stack Exchange, because when I pasted the error I got into search engine, I landed in Stack Exchange. I got to know that if you want to do something like that, it's better for verification for you to flatten your contracts. I think in a way it makes the file load maybe more compacted. Then your thing will, what I know is it will make your verification go more smoothly, and that's the thing. So guys, remember, always flatten your contract. Maybe not always, but when you're having an error like I did, flatten your contract, then verify the contract. It will be much more easier that way. After doing that, I copied the ABI, went to scroll scan again, pasted the ABI, and my contract got verified. I think that made me very, very happy. You know, no matter how good you have been in engineering, you still feel this butterfly in your tummy whenever your code works, and that was the case. So I was super, super happy that that's out of the way, and now my contract is verified. Now my contract is verified, and I can move on with other things. I think that's kind of the most recent challenge I faced while building the products. The second one was MetaMask integration. In my mind, I was like, once I'm done with the core features of the products, MetaMask integration shouldn't be easy. Well, an honest confession, I'm not a front end developer, and I've neither integrated what's it called, MetaMask into my smart contract or into my front end. But then I knew in my mind that it shouldn't be hard because almost every website has it, and if it were hard, it wouldn't be that common. You know, the logic thing. But it was not funny. I was on the integration for, I think, a couple of days. Was it a day? No, I think it was actually a day and spillover. When I investigated, let me save you the story. It was quite dramatic, but the main thing was that it was the case that Phantom or maybe Rabbi was blocking my MetaMask pop-up. So when I integrated the MetaMask into my front end, I would click on the button, but then it wouldn't pop up my MetaMask, which was unusual. And I was like, what's going on? I tried to, at first, I thought the fault was my hand. Maybe I didn't integrate properly, and I had to do everything from scratch again to be double sure, consulted documentation, watched videos, and all that. It still didn't work. Yeah, I mean, that was an outbreak. But later on, I got to know that it was because I had Phantom and Rabbi installed as extensions in my browser. I think it's probably due to security reasons. So it was the case that Phantom, or maybe Phantom or Rabbi, but I suspect Phantom, no. Phantom was blocking that pop up, and it was. How did I know? I uninstalled every other wallet extension on my browser. Apparently, I don't keep fonts there anyway. I only use them for dev purposes. So I uninstalled all of them. I clicked the button, and it worked. It worked. So that was how I integrated MetaMask into my landing page and all other pages of the features, and that was a huge win for me. I mean, I felt so good after successfully integrating it because it took me a whole lot of time. I felt like this shouldn't be this hard. Come on. Another challenge, let me say the third challenge, was the financial flow visualization. Like I mentioned, I tried using Node.js. There were many libraries that wouldn't work in Node.js. Just deliver me simple pie charts. I will upload a PDF and you give me pie charts in return. That was the main program I was trying to write. Then it's also working in Node.js. I did all my best, bro. I did all my best. It wasn't working. Then I was like, okay, since Node.js is not working, or maybe let me take the responsibility. Maybe I wasn't integrating well, or I was missing out something. I couldn't fix the bug. Why not just go back to my other old love, Python? So I went back to Python. I used matplotlib. Apparently, it didn't work too. It didn't work. So what I eventually, when I debugged, I got to know that it's because I'm trying to upload a PDF, and that's kind of the main reason behind it. And the PDF library still weren't working exactly as I wanted. Then I just did this. I uploaded my PDF into an Excel converter. I had it into an Excel file. Then I just copied and pasted the Excel file into my front end. And right there, it was able to catch the content and give me a pie chart back in return. That's my third feature. So having my third feature working was a kind of huge boost for me to know that I'm on the right path and I will complete the whole project before the hackathon ends. I think essentially those are the main challenges I faced. Now let's talk about the things I learned while participating in this solo hackathon. Well, let me say the first thing I learned was front-end development, particularly MetaMask integration. I haven't done it before. It's the first time I'm doing wallet integration, and I had issues while doing it, but it was the first time doing it, and I got to know how it's done in real time. Most of us write smart contracts, and we don't even care or know how the smart contract we write communicate with the front end. I mean, we all know it's through the ABI and all those stuff, but let me speak for myself. I haven't really done it in real life. I haven't really done it in projects, so I don't really know how to connect API with front end via the front end. But in this project, I learned that one of the way you connect your Spark contracts into with the front end is the ABI and the contract address. So you have to use consts assigned to contract address. You have to create your contract address as a constant variable. Then, by the way, I talk fast sometimes when I try to communicate. You should know that already. So yeah, you put your smart contracts address, then you now put the ABI. The interesting thing about the ABI is you don't have to copy and paste the entire ABI itself. No, that's not necessary. And in fact, you'll get an error. So the thing to do is to copy the essential part of the ABI you want to call. Particularly, it should have the event you are emitting. So let's say you are trying to integrate a function of withdrawal to a button of withdrawal. You have to copy the part of the ABI where the withdrawal function is an output, then paste it under the button you are trying to integrate and just trying to make it work together. So it's not, my point is not the ABI you copy, it's the part relevant to the button you are trying to integrate that you copy. I didn't know that. I think many of you know, and I'm sure many like me didn't know. So that's kind of the way you connect a smart contract to a front end. I just learned that while working on the hackathon. What else did I learn while working on it? I think one other thing I learned was that it's good for every developer to have a taste of the entire product lifecycle. You shouldn't only base yourself on smart contracts or front end or security without really knowing how to build front end, how to build smart contracts. You have to have a taste of everything to understand and appreciate better the beauty of engineering, the beauty of building stuff, the beauty of talking to people. And that leads me to my next stuff about where I learned while building. It was the fact that talking to people is a very essential part of building products. And the funny thing is, in all honesty, when you're trying to research, many people will tell you what you want to hear to massage your ego. Not like they will click your link at the end of the day, but just to give you this buzz and maybe to kind of encourage you. Yeah. And you discover not many people you share your link with to test it out and give you beta feedback will really click on it. And the funny thing is they will lie, but you see on the back end that they didn't click. So anyway, don't lie to a dev. So yeah, talk to people. The way I got to know the main things to build was that first of all, I'm building the product myself. It's something I need and I'm trying to build. But ultimately, as a founder or as an engineer, I'm trying to also build it for other people who will find it useful. And I got to talk to people. Basically, I used Instagram, I used TikTok to build a community. Anyway, it's something I've been doing before, but during the hackathon, I got a bit more intentional about it. And yeah, let me make a confession. I asked people to indicate if they want to have the page for sign up. Some did, but actually, I haven't built that page of sign up as at the time I asked them to indicate. Until now, I haven't. I'll repent, I'll build it, I'll ship it, and I'll share the link. Okay, so aside from that, yeah, I think I actually should take a couple of minutes to tell you about what the whole idea or the product I'm building is all about. So for me, I think the reason I'm more passionate about this is my first hackathon, obviously not, but I think one of the reasons I'm more passionate about this one and I'm emotionally invested into it is because I am really, really interested in building this product. Like, not only for engineering gymnastics, it's something I'm really passionate about and I want to build it. And, this joy of just putting together the POC for it is very, very interesting. And so let me talk to you about CashVault. Essentially, CashVault is an application for you to manage your personal finance. The reason I built it was because I have experience in both Web 2 and Web 3, I've used a couple of Web2 apps for investments. I've used many Web3 dApps for investments, and I don't want to say it's because I know about Web3, but I think generally investing in Web3 makes you more money than investing in Web2. For context, I invested in Web2 stocks. I also invested in Web3 projects or Web3 tokens. I made more money with the Web3 tokens than the Web2 stocks. So that kind of made me conclude that generally speaking, Web3 is a more fertile industry for investments. But then CashVault is not only about investments, because I think that's the way we are missing it nowadays, especially as young people. You think because you invest money then you are rich. But that's technically, it might be the case, but it might also not be the case. And that is where financial literacy is super, super important. And the fact that you have money does not really mean you are financially literate. And that's the whole essence of what CashVault is doing, bringing financial literacy to young people with particular emphasis on savings and investments. When you get to think about it, you see that many people do not actually save. For example, I always give this analogy. You are working at a place where you are paid, let's say $500 monthly. I'm trying to be very civil, so $500 monthly, and your general expenses every month is always around, let's say, the most essential things you have to spend money on, let's say $150, then at the end of the day, you might still not be able to account for how you spent your money. But that's not even the point. Let's say you have this income stream or income level for a total of 12 months, and maybe you are laid off at your job at the 12th month, then the 13th month you claim you are broke. Generally, it shouldn't be the case. It definitely means you haven't been saving well enough. You haven't built your financial backbone well enough, and you were living paycheck to paycheck or hand to mouth. And I know there are a lot of nuances to this, but the main point I'm trying to pass is that many young people do not save money as they should. And the rebuttals to some of these things is, oh, John, I don't make a lot of money. Oh, John, I have a lot of expenses. But the thing is, it's all about financial literacy. When you know the fact that no one is coming to save you, I think that's the first reset that will make you very serious with your finances, and you'll be very bullish on saving. In that line, one of the things I think is very, very helpful to not only young people, human beings generally, is to have this automative way of saving. The web tool I use, I can just connect it to my card, or just tell it, okay, save this amount for me every day, and it will do that. I was now thinking, how about having that on chain such that you'll be able to save automatically, even when you don't know. You received your salary of, let's say, $500 or $10,000, then you can ask CashVault to save $200 for you every day, or $100 for you every day. Come to think of it, if you're saving $100 every day for 3 months, that would have been a lot, and that's kind of the interesting thing CashVault is bringing to everyone. Not only people in Web3, human beings generally will find CashVault very interesting. Then that's the first thing. Second one is the investment power. This year, I've made a lot of money. Okay, I shouldn't be talking about the monetary aspect of things too much, but I'm the kind of engineer or content marketer that is also into trading. Yeah, depending on how you see it. So I can say emphatically that principles like DCA will make you a lot of money in this ecosystem if you are very orthodox with it. You can, for those who have been buying Bitcoin some years back, all they did was this year, whether Bitcoin was going low or going high, they were buying a certain amount of Bitcoin every day, every day, every day. Now they are kind of the whales around, they are the Bitcoin OGs around. The same thing is happening. You can be DCAing into Sol, DCAing into Ether, no promotion anyway. DCAing into the project you have in mind, or that you have investment conviction about, and that's simply what casual is bringing to you, making it easier for you to save money, easier for you to invest money. And the third thing is bringing is for you to know how your money is going and how your money is coming, which we call financial visualization. if you ask a couple of young people that how much did you make last year in total, they probably might not be able to tell you emphatically. Or if you now ask them how much did you spend on food last year, because the best way to live is to live on data. You already know this is the amount of your money you spend on food. So next year you can plan better and just allocate that percentage to food again. I mean, it just makes it easier. So if you ask them how much you spent on food last year, they probably can tell you. Now, I'm not the type that glosses over problems, and I'm like, okay, how do we solve this? We can have everything as data. You can simply upload your bank statement or anything you can upload, and it will give you a representation of how you spent money within a financial period. Let's say a month or a year or a week, whatever you want to do. It will show you how you have spent money. With that, you will even know, okay, this is how I spent this money. This is how I spent this money. And the essence of it is not even for you to feel bad. Oh, I spent this amount on shawarma. Or that's not the point. The point is just for you to have a clear idea of how you spent money, how you made money. If you ask many people working in crypto today that how much were you paid last year, they probably couldn't tell you straight because they didn't have everything recorded. And you can't make huge changes in your financial life without having data about your monetary inflow and monetary outflow. So yeah, enough of shilling. That's what CashVault does, and that's my experience at the hackathon. So let's talk about post-hackathon thing I plan to do. Well, the first thing is I really want to win the hackathon. I think I can be competitive when it's necessary. So I really want to win the hackathon. Yeah, I think that's the top stuff for it. I even kind of wrote it down. I want to win the hackathon. It's top of my list because I'm emotionally interested in the products. It's something I'm passionate about, and I want to win it. Yeah, definitely. Then Scroll has this idea of residency. They call it Scroll Open, where everyone will be in Malaysia and you'll be building products in person. I think I found that interesting, and I think I want to get into that residency. So yeah, but aside that, I want to keep building products, then getting more people interested, and that's kind of the reason, part of the reasons I've been active on social media, because I know that the people that really need this product the most are probably not, they are definitely not only crypto people. So I'm trying to reach a larger audience. I think one of the things I've noticed with crypto products is we focus too much on ourselves. You sell to people working in crypto and stuff like that. But how about getting people like nurses, doctors, teachers, lecturers, people in other music, other aspects of life get to use the product and make their life easier. You get that kind of vibe. So I plan to build a community, make it more organic. One of the very funny things I found about personal finance content is that many people boast about the kind of cars they have or the mansions they live or stuff like that, and maybe validly so. But I think I want a different approach where people can feel like they can feel like they are like me. I can feel like I'm like them. So not like this someone on a high horse thing. So yeah, basically I want to keep building products. I want to have the I want to improve the smart contracts definitely. I'm thinking of including Chainlink Keeper for the saving and investment automation. Then I'm definitely getting the protocol audited. I can't ship into product without having it audited because even I can't trust a protocol that is not really audited with my money, and I wouldn't want to do the same to other people. So I have to be very careful with that, get it audited, improve the contract, then start building. And hoping when everything is done, I think my first focus will be getting my first 100 users. And not just users who will encourage me. I mean, people who will actually use the product and enjoy it and be like, oh, John, we love this. Okay, but can you improve on this? Oh, but actually, this can be better. That kind of very fanatic user base. I think I want that. And yeah, that's why I'm sharing the video too. Some of you might love the idea and trying to be in my private beta testing. So yeah, basically, and I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about the hackathon in the comment. Let me know what you want me to record more videos about. I have a lot of content idea from the hackathon, trust me. So tell me what you want me to record videos about, what you want me to share about, and yeah, thank you so much.